Hello everyone friends, this is Jan with you, and today in the video I will tell you how to properly trade on OTC assets. At the moment, I trade on them approximately 70 to 80% of all my time. Over time, they have brought me more than $1 million. Let's get started right away. We will try to make this video without any fluff. And the first thing, when you want to open a trade on OTC assets, is to change the candle time frame to a higher one. In my trading, I usually use either 5-minute candles or 10-minute candles to find and mark the main strong Kaise-Aus zones. I have repeatedly mentioned that the older the candle time frame, the stronger the zone. That is, if we are looking at 10-minute candles and marking support and resistance zones here, it means they will be strong, significantly stronger than zones. For example, on 1-minute candles, we immediately go through all the currency pairs, and in this case we see a good resistance zone. Let's mark it. We open the drawing tools and mark this area. As a rule, I mark strong zones with a red color. Next, we look at the RSI indicator and see that it was recently near the overbought zone. This in turn indicates that the asset is currently overpriced, and most likely, we will move lower soon. As you can see on the minute candles, the pullback from the resistance zone is also visible. Here, of course, we might hold on to this area, but most likely we will break through it and go lower. I enter a trade to go lower with an expiration time of 3 candles, that is for 3 minutes. And while the trade is open, I recommend you subscribe to the Telegram channel. I have mentioned several times that this video is translated by a neural network. This channel is still small, but I have a large team on the Russian-speaking channel, and I'm sure that in the future, we will reach those results with you. You can also join our team and gain access to cool trading sessions. I post the results of the sessions in the open channel. Overall, the success rate is very good because I have been trading for over 6 years. In this case, we have retraced. Again, you can find a good resistance zone already on the minute candles. Let's mark it with this tool. And overall, we can open another trade for a decrease because most likely we will be going lower now. I am opening a hedge, and if the first trade closes at a loss and the second trade closes at a profit, in this way, we will cover the losses of the first trade and earn from the second. But as you can see, even both trades here can close at a profit because the point difference is relatively small. Yes, it may happen that both the first and the second trade close at a loss. That would not be very pleasant. But in any case, these losses can be covered in future trades. I turn on 10-second candles to better see the situation. And it's clear that no analysis can be conducted on 10-second candles because the support and resistance zones are very weak here. To be honest, during independent trading, I often don't even mark these zones because I can see everything as it is. And those who have been trading for a long time will understand me, because these zones start to form in your mind, and marking them is not necessary. But for convenience, especially if you are a beginner, I recommend doing it. Yes, as you can see, the first trade will most likely close at a loss. And our task is to wait for the second trade to close and hope that it will close in profit. Also guys, I want to say that, in my opinion, technical analysis is much better than various strategies you see on YouTube channels, even on my own YouTube channel. It is truly the method that can deliver results. I have a large number of trader friends who earn $50,000, $100,000. There is even an acquaintance who makes $150,000 a month from trading. And almost all of them trade using technical analysis. But there is also a small percentage of people who like to trade using strategies. Strategies will also be featured on this channel, naturally, because there are those that can also yield good results. But in general, I sometimes post them. As you can see, we opened a cover at a good spot. The price went lower. There is 1 minute left until the end of the trade, and most likely this trade will close in profit. For it, we will receive $384. The net profit will be $184, and for the 2 trades, the net profit will be $84. That's also quite good. Many might ask, Jan, you have almost $130,000 in your balance. Why do you trade and open deals for $100? Guys, not too long ago, a video about money management risks was released on the channel. Be sure to watch it because if you make this mistake, it will be simply impossible to trade profitably over the long term. There are 10 seconds left until the end of the trade. And let's, for the sake of interest, after closing this trade, move on to the next currency pair and look for a situation. There. It's a pity, of course, that the first trade didn't close in profit. But there's nothing terrible about that. Again, we turn on the 10-minute candles. It's clear that here you can continue to open positions for a decline to work out this situation. And if I were trading on my own right now, that's what I would do. But in order to broaden your horizons, we will now go and look for the next situation. In this case, you can find a relatively good channel. Again, these are 10-minute candles, resistance zone, support zone, and here we observe a downward movement on the chart. But in this case, most likely, we will reach the resistance zone, buy back these volumes, and overall, if we open a trade for 3 minutes, we can manage to enter for an increase. Switching to 1-minute candles, we see an upward movement on the chart, where the points of minimum and maximum are rising. We see that the price has reached the previous resistance zone. And this particular situation is called a retest. We can also look at the RSI indicator and find a good support zone here, from which a pullback, WAB, movement is most likely to occur now. If we end up with a loss, we will go look for the next currency pair to further develop your market observation skills. In trading, this is very important. Yes guys, you see, we have just reached the previous resistance zone and now we will go higher. Here basically, if you want, you can even see something resembling a chart pattern called a double bottom. And in this situation, you should open a position on the breakout at this point. There is the minute and a half left until the end of the trade. Let's switch to 10-second candles and observe the progress of the trade. But here, most likely, everything will turn out quite well. Guys, I wanted to ask you, please write in the comments the optimal duration for the videos. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. No, currently, videos are released 3 times a week. Long ones, but in the future, we might switch back to posting videos every day like before. It's clear that this is difficult from the perspective of taking a large amount of time and effort, but if you need it, maybe we'll do a similar challenge in May or at the beginning of summer. I told you that everything is fine, and then it started to roll back again. In any case, there's a minute left, we can still manage to close in profit. I constantly say that when a trade is open, don't worry whether it will close in profit or in loss. Wait, because you can't change anything in this case. And the most we can do is to conduct a review of mistakes. Understand if we made an error in a particular trade and try not to make it in the future. In this case, let's open 2 more trades for $200 for 2 minutes on an increase, because most likely these volumes will also be bought back now. As you can see, the payout percentage has dropped a bit. It's not a big deal. And before you open a trade, make sure to check the payout percentage. Again, in the video where I talked to you about risk management, about money management, I mentioned that if the payout percentage is less than 70, you should not open a trade under any circumstances. Here we go even lower. Apparently, we'll have to open another cover. Again, overall, it's not a big deal. As I said, judging by the 10-minute candles, we should continue the upward movement. The candles are quite large right now. And in the previous video, I mentioned that the lower we fall, the stronger the bulls become, because the price decreases. And it's clear that when the price is lower, there will be more buyers. Guys, I've repeatedly mentioned that I don't re-record the videos, and it's clear that I might end up in a bad market, catching 3 losses in a row, sometimes even 4 losses in a row. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it because trading is always about earning over the long term. There are good days and there are not so good days. And our main task is to work on our mistakes, not to give up, and then over the long term, everything will be fine. It seems they will close us at a loss and we'll have to open another cover, but we'll probably do it on a different currency pair. But although no, I want to resolve this situation. Now, if there's a loss, we'll enter here again for an increase, this time with $500 for 2 minutes too. It was possible, of course, to open for 3 minutes. That would have been safer, but in this case, I decided that there was no point. And let's open another trade for $500 as well. And this $500 trade might also close at a loss. That would be very unpleasant, but unfortunately it happens. I know that there are some traders on YouTube who don't show the downsides. You watch. And in every video, he turns $10 into $10,000, $100,000. But unfortunately, in the real market, this is simply impossible. As I said, there are friends who earn more than $100,000 a month, and unfortunately, no one can consistently deliver only profits. Because this is trading, and there are risks here too. So guys, it seems there will be a loss here as well. Again, this happens. This might sound funny. I'm teaching you to trade on OTC assets, but here we have the third loss in a row. We'll finish this video with a profit anyway. Let's open the next trade for $1,200. If there's a loss there too, then we'll have to cover it again. Bearish patterns are already forming here. Overall, we can push this situation, but open for a longer time. Not for 2 minutes, but for example, for 10 minutes. We open 10-minute candles and go through all the currency pairs in order. Here, guys, the situation is also relatively good. The minimum points are gradually rising. We are heading towards the resistance zone. Here, you can manage to open a position for an increase. Again, if there's confirmation on the 1-minute candles, there is a local resistance area here. On the RSI indicator, a support zone is visible. Overall, it can also be worked on for an increase because we should eventually reach this area. If there's a loss here, it won't be very funny because it doesn't happen often, but unfortunately, it does happen. This video, guys, clearly shows that you need to use risk and money management and never forget about it. Imagine if I were opening trades now, for example, at 50% of the deposit or 20% of the deposit. With my professional level, I could probably open up to $5,000 maximum, yes, but in any case, the losses would have been very large, and you can't do that. But as you can see, we found a good situation, and now it's likely to be a profit. I repeat, guys, trades are not edited out. I am showing real trading. Absolutely no videos are re-recorded. That is, I show it to you as it is. In the past, there were videos where we closed at a loss. There were videos where we even lost a large amount of money. But I think it's very important to be honest with the audience. If we close with a profit, the net profit will be $1,000. And just like that, the losses from previous trades will be covered. And in the end, the profit for the day will be quite good. And I'll repeat, guys, look, when opening a hedge, this amount is less than 1% of my capital. That is, from the perspective of risk money management, these trades are completely justified. It might even be good when we have such losing days, because it's precisely in these moments that you can better learn the information I'm trying to convey to you. And as you can see, I'm absolutely not worried or nervous because emotions, whether too positive or too negative, are detrimental in any case. No panic, we found a good situation, closed the trade in profit, covered the losses from previous trades, and in the end made a very good profit from the video. Thank you guys very much to everyone who watched. A huge thank you for your support. If you have ideas for new videos, be sure to write them in the comments. We will implement all of this over time. That's all, guys. Thank you all. Goodbye, everyone.